What would happen to the land if Israel did not obey the voice of the Lord? This is the question that we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Deuteronomy on Walking Through the Bible.
His word, the glory of his cross.
If you have a Bible with you, turn to Deuteronomy 28. We're going to be reading from verses 15 to 24. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So Deuteronomy 28, beginning of verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments and his statutes which I command you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. Curse shall be you in the city, and curse shall be you in the country. Curse shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Curse shall be the fruit of your body, and the produce of your land, the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. The Lord will send on you cursing, confusion, and rebuke in all that you set your hand to do, until you are destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings, in which you have forsaken me. The Lord will make the plague cling to you until he has consumed you from the land which you are going to possess. The Lord will strike you with consumption, with fever, with inflammation, with severe burning fever, with the sword, with scorching, and with mildew. They shall pursue you until you perish, and your heavens which are over your head shall be bronze, and the earth which is under you shall be iron. The Lord will change the rain of your land to powder and dust. From the heavens it shall come down on you until you are destroyed. In our last two lessons, we've been looking at the blessings that God would bestow upon Israel if they obeyed his voice. He would make them fruitful, not only their persons, but their land as well. They would have victory over their enemies, and they would borrow from nobody, but lend to them. And finally, God would make them a great nation among the nations, in that they would be subject to nobody. In truth, the blessings that God would bestow upon Israel would be beyond their wildest dreams, and would be a benefit to them in all that they did. This is how much God loved Israel, in spite of their past. That if they obeyed him, he would bless them. However, just as we saw in Leviticus 26, if Israel disobeyed the word of the Lord, meaning they went after idols and did not keep his covenant, then God would not only withhold his blessings, but he would curse them as well. If you noticed, the first four curses found in verses 16 to 19 are the exact opposite of the blessings found in verses 3 to 6. If Israel obeyed, they would be blessed in the city and in the country. If they disobeyed, they would be cursed in the city and in the country. If Israel obeyed, they would be fruitful, meaning that they would have many children, and their crops and animals would flourish too. If they disobeyed God, they would become barren, as would their crops and their animals. If they obeyed God, they would be blessed when they come in and when they go out. If they disobeyed God, they would be cursed when they come in and when they go out. Now we might think that these curses are simply the opposites of blessings, but in reality they are much more. If God's blessings would have been greater than their wildest imaginations, then these curses would too, just in the opposite direction. To further expand on what these curses are, they are broken down in the rest of the chapter into 5 groups, of which we will cover a part of them today. The first group of curses would come upon Israel in various forms of evil, filling them with terror and dismay, and threatening them with utter ruin. The Lord would send cursing, confusion, and rebuke on all that Israel did. It can be seen in other scriptures, such as 1 Samuel 14 verse 20, that one of the ways that God defeated nations is by putting confusion or terror in their hearts so that they would be afraid to fight. Not only that, the Lord would send a plague or a pestilence to consume Israel in the land. Epidemics of disease can do great harm to a nation and can vastly decrease their numbers. With modern medicine, we can sometimes deal with epidemics, but we have not eradicated them, and they can still do great harm on society. Moreover, the Lord would strike Israel with consumption, with the Hebrew word meaning to become abnormally thin and weak. This, of course, would be the result of hunger, caused by the crops not producing as they should. When one is in a weakened condition, they are susceptible to other diseases as well, such as fever and inflammation. Needless to say, it would be a pitiable existence for Israel. And as was alluded to before, the land would also suffer. The heavens would be bronze and the earth iron, figures of speech to say that there would be no rain, resulting in famine. It would become so dry that dust would swirl around instead of rain. Now these curses seem bad enough to our ears, but they're just the beginning of what we will see. For this chapter has 68 verses, and it will take us 4 more lessons to cover. We hope you'll return for each of those lessons. With that, our time is up for today. Lord willing, we hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Deuteronomy 28, verses 25 to 35, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time.
Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends, so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world.